Welcome to RPG Book Club LongCast, the podcast where we play a tiny bit of a very big video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Maddie Grace Webben.
And I'm David Bernard Hauk. My cat is on my desk, so you might hear her bump into the microphone and stuff.
Nice.
Hell yes.
And today we will be doing a weird-ass episode where we will be talking about all of the ancillary content that is included in .hack GU Volume 1
Ancillary
ReBirth.
content. That's my favorite Anne Leckie novel. Don't worry about it. Just keep going.
Okay.
Oh, no, I get it.
But, yeah, so we'll be talking about all of basically the text content. Bernard gets a couple of videos to talk about, but mostly the text content, like the news and the forums and the lore and stuff like that. And it's cool and a lot. And so being LongCast and it's funny, this game, it definitely deserves to be on LongCast because it is very long and it is a 4-part game, but the pace that we can get through content will probably end up being 12 episodes, which is fewer than we had for Xenogears. So
that is pretty funny.
It is what it is.
And Xenogears,
There's a lot
let's be clear here, Xenogears should have been more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot more to talk about with Xenogears. Like, the stuff that happens is bullshit, but stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would show episodes even with me sometimes being like, yeah, then like 3 dungeons happen and like, you know what, don't worry about it.
Yeah. But yeah, without much further ado, because I don't know what else to talk about since we're not talking about our weeks, even though our weeks were great.
We should clarify that we have now finished, in case you're listening out of order or something, we have finished playing .hack GU Volume 1, and we're doing lore shit before moving on to Volume 2. After we beat
Correct.
Volume 2, we will not move on to the rest of it until people give us more money.
Yes, that is correct. Because our good friend Carr, basically, it's something to the tune of like almost $1,000 that he just threw at us basically on a dare and paid for .hack 1 and 2 right when I was leaving for paternity leave. So we got way behind. So we're playing catch up now, but we will catch up soon. We are about 60% of the way to .hack Part 3. So if you like what you hear here, you should go to our Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/RPGbookclub and toss us a couple bones to unlock the last game.
And to be clear, if we do Part 3, we're going to do Part 4 as just as a little freebie because it's really short.
Yeah, I would feel bad taking your money for Part 4. But yeah, let's listen to. God, I don't fucking know.
Have we done the music that plays when you click on the world and you're on the login screen?
I don't think so. So we'll do that one.
Yeah, play that one, please.
Yeah. And I think we also haven't done any of the guild themes. So we'll probably have the world theme and guild themes today because there's going to be a lot of breaks because there's a lot of sections today. So let's go on to section 1.
Yeah, so first of all, that music you just heard, I didn't realize this before, but it fucking rules. It maybe is one of my favorite tracks in the whole game. Maybe my favorite track in the whole game. Because I was in charge of reading the in-game lore, the lore of the world, such as it is. And the entire time you are learning this stuff, you are hearing the exact same song, and you can't like change it. But luckily, it fucking whips. So when you are on your computer and you click on the world, you get 3 options, or you get a couple options. You get login, you get official website, you get official forum, and then you get, I guess, like log out or something. If you click official forum, you get a bunch of stuff. It's separate from the other forum that Sam is handling. I have been reading this forum all along throughout the game. However, it is almost all worthless. It's mostly tutorial shit. Like, it's literally like a person is asking, like, how do I use area words? And then another player will inform the noob of how to play the game, and that's how you, the player, can learn how to play the game. And also, there are a few good threads in there, but we already shared most of them during our normal episode. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about those. Sam said he might have some later. So the main thing is... I
do not have any for later. I looked through, and the only good one is the Gabby thread, which we already talked about. Which, let's be honest, the Gabby thread is the best thing in this video game.
It is really
good. We've already talked about it.
Yeah. So anyway, so you click on the world lore, and you get the official website. Which, first of all, as a piece of fiction, as a thing, as a fiction within a fiction that is completely unnecessary, it owns. As a pretend website, like if you were to imagine this is a real website, it fucking sucks. Like, if any actual MMO had this website, you'd be like, this is terrible. It's just a couple of pages. It very internet 1.0. Anyway, let's just get started. So the main page is like a pitch on the world. Like, the first part is like, welcome to the world. Jump into this fun game where you can be an adventurer and do fun stuff. And then if you scroll down, now it's talking about the technology of the world. Like, here's the fake made up technology. Like, here's what Chaos Gates are. I'm like, why is that on the main page? That's a weird place for that information to go. Anyway, there's also maybe a typo right on the front page, unless I just forgot. Is the Coliseum called the Coliseo in the game?
I don't think so.
I don't remember it
right
being
there on the
called
front
that.
Page, it's like, become emperor of the Coliseo. And like, you forgot something there. Anyway.
Weird.
So anyway, we learned about technology is that there's actually two kinds of technology in this game. There's Steam technology, which is new and innovative, and there's Crest technology, which is ancient technology that's been repurposed. Chaos gates are a Crest device that is key to create it. So those Chaos gates we were always using to teleport around, turns out that's what creates a barrier that stops monsters from invading the town. It also turns out that alchemy, which is what we use to improve our weapons, combines Steam and Crest technology. Also, apparently, the machine originally successfully turned scrap metal into gold, but economists feared it would ruin the economy, so now there's laws about what kind of alchemy you can do, which is pretty funny. So anyway, the first couple bits here were really boring, and then I was upset to find out that it ended up actually being really cool at the end, so I couldn't just bitch about it. So let's go through the slightly boring stuff. So, player characters. I got bad news, folks. Bad news for me specifically. Humans are descendants of elves.
No.
I know, it's a big twist. It sucks. But actually, the elves are totally different than what you expect in this game. So anyway, humans, they're versatile, they're smart, just like all the humans in fantasy stories. The whole thing is like, they can do anything. Then there's beasts, which, quote, resist innovation and rely on ancient technology. It's problematic. It's what you'd think. Beasts are like, these are tribal peoples. There's 3 tribes. The Ya tribes, which are these like giant where the wild things are ass monsters. They're strong, but they don't know shit about magic. I don't recall seeing any of these in the game, but whatever. There's the Lay tribe, which are normal size, very fast, all around good. Then there's the 2 tribe, which is our boy, our short bunny boy. Gaspard. Yes, our boy Gaspard is a 2. They're tiny babies who are small and weak, but real good at magic. So the non-player characters, there's a lot. First, we got gods and goddesses. There used to be lots of them who created and ruled the world, but most of them have died in wars and such. Only 2 probably remain. First, you got the god of law, Fulset. He guards the Morrigu Barrow. Hey, that place we kept going? Turns out there's lore. Turns out the Morrigu Barrow, that wall that we couldn't get through, except at the end when we did, it, quote, blocks the heavenly path. Those who are worthy can open the gates and enter the land of the gods, the city of Dawn, Erkeltrai. Also, there's Simunos, the Lord of the Dead. He's basically the devil. There's also these things called Vital Vistas, which sounds like a location, but it's not. They're automatons who were created by humans to help out with tasks, and they have a childlike level of self-awareness, but lately they started disobeying their masters and living independently, and people were worried they'll rebel one day. Were these in the game? I don't
think so.
These being in I don't recall automatons being in the game, but maybe in the next one. Next is Grunties. They're cursed to be beasts of burden, but when the gods were defeated, they returned to their humanoid form. They're good at communication and are usually managerial or secretarial positions. We're going to learn more about Grunties later, folks. Sai, elves. They died out long ago. They're ancestors of humans and beasts. So then there's sprites. Here is the text of what they describe as sprites. Quote, sprites are tiny sprites that inhabit streams and forests. That's what it says, folks. Magic draws power from sprites. So yeah, whatever. Then you click on the next tab that says factions. Turns out there's 3 main factions in conflict in the world. There's Arvakv, which is humans. Orgmios is beasts, and Teutates is a third faction that is not split among racial lines. They all sometimes cooperate and sometimes fight. First, we got
I thought the 3 factions were players, player killers, and player killer killers.
Apparently not. We got Arvakv, the innovators. Their deal is technology. They're based in Mak Anu, led by Ishmael. Next, we got Ogmios, the conservatives. Quote, beasts with their crest technology and conservative ways. So yeah, they revere the ancient ways, and they're coded like not white people. They're based in the celestial city of Doldona, led by a 2 named Bipu Bapu. Next, we got Teutates, the pursuers. They're humans and beasts with a, quote, pure hunger for power. They're based in Lumina Cloth, led by Al-Azif. They get steam technology from Arvakva in exchange for manufacturing weapons for them, and they get crest technology from Ogmios by providing military support for them. Turns out, everyone in the game is a mercenary hired by Teutates. All of the guilds are, quote, small-scale war bands. Adventurers want to, quote, rise to the top of the Teutates and perform the gods' rebirth themselves. What is God's rebirth? Well, I've been delaying and talking about that. We'll get to it in a second. So yeah, apparently we've all been working for this third faction, and there's this conflict that we didn't really know about because we were just doing fetch quests and also fighting in the Coliseum. So now there's threats. Threats is they literally have a page for every single monster in the game. It's all really boring. I only wrote about 3 of them because those were interesting. Oh, also, in general, monsters are controlled by, quote, the Shadow. They mostly disappeared when the 6 great spirits and the 2 goddesses defeated the Shadow, but then humans destroyed the gods, so they're coming back. Anyway, there's 3 interesting ones. First, there's goblin rookies. Apparently, they're goblins who have, quote, just been appointed to their duties and haven't had much training yet, which is why they can't block. That's cute to me. Also, if you recall, there's a blue-white flying thingy with a big horn. That's the spearfish, and it's hunted for its horn, which makes me think it's probably an aphrodisiac. That's it. The rest of them are boring. Next is jobs. I tell you, I wish somebody would give me one of these.
One
so
thing,
in the world,
before we move on too far from the monsters, I think it's great that this game has like 3 mobs total, and it reuses them, and it's not even like, oh, you're just seeing a little bit of them, and then you'll get more later. Like the official website is like, yeah, there are precisely 6 mobs that you will face in the entirety of this online game. Yeah. We're the most popular game in the universe.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, jobs are decided at character creation and can't be changed. So when you play this MMO, you get to pick between a pretty large number of jobs. We don't get to do that because our character already picked his job as part of the plot, which I think is a really clever little sneaky way to get around that. So there's not actually a job system for us, the player, but there is a job system for them, the players of the world. So here's all the jobs. Twin blades, very fast, 2 swords. Blade brandier, have a big sword. Average abilities, but adaptable. Edge punisher, huge goddamn sword. Lord partisan, giant lance. Also, way high defense, weak to magic. Tribal grappler, they're tribal and they punch things and have primitive ways. They do punching and are as fast as twin blades and have lots of HP but low defense. Flick Reaper, they have a giant scythe. They're good at spacing and crowd control. I wish we could use a scythe because scythes are cool as shit in games, and I like any weapon that gives me long, sweepy attacks. Think
good news. The cover of the collection has Haseo holding a scythe, so
dope.
We'll get
dope.
with our job expansion soon enough.
Next, you got Steam Gunner. They're guns brasters. Next, there's Harvest Cleric, which is healing and support magic. They have a staff. Shadow Warlocks do attack magic. They wield a grimoire. There's Macabre Dancer, which are red mages and wield giant fans. And finally, there's us, the Adept Rogue. They're a jack of all trades, but decisively a master of none. There's a forum post about this. Apparently, it takes a stupid long time to get good at anything. So, even though you'd think, like, Adept Rogue is obviously the best one, why would you want to be locked into one thing when you can use anything? It's like, no, they, like, way overbalanced it to where the Adept Rogue actually sucks, and most people don't bother being one. But that's what we are, so that we can get new weapons. All right, so
yeah, and on top of that, the multi-classing that they get to do is a timed event. It's like only comes up like once every couple of months for you to even be able to do it.
Yep. So next is time for the history section. Time to learn some lore, folks. I gotta admit, I clicked the history section. I saw there were 13 subsections. I clicked on the first subsection and I glanced over at the scroll bar and I was like, oh no. The things I do for this goddamn pod. But turns out this part is the best part by far. It owns. So, buckle up for some lore. I condensed it, but it is a good bit. So, I'm just going to read it. So, long ago, 2 brothers lived in the world and were the entire world. They were happy and they could read each other's hearts without so much as a glance.
And their names were Bionis and Mykonis.
Yes. One day, the older brother broke the younger brother's treasured sword. The younger brother retaliated by breaking the older's spear. They fought for 7 days and 7 nights. On the 8th day, the younger asked for a truce, but the older saw this as an opening and killed the younger brother. The younger deity's final breath, this is actually a quote, the younger deity's final breath became the heavens, and his fallen body became the earth. The fountain of blood erupted high and became the sun. The broken sword shattered and formed the moon and the stars in the heavens. Feeling great shame, the elder deity wept. His tears became rain and fell to the earth, forming oceans in its deep contours. So that's when I was like, okay, this is pretty good. The older deity was super lonely and couldn't deal anymore. So eventually he took one of his eyes and made a goddess. She looked at him and said, "Thou art handsome," and her voice filled the world with sound. She named him Sol, the goddess of creation, and he named her Myelin, the goddess of harvest. Sol also created a land of the dead in the darkest part of the world. He sealed the spirit of his younger brother and named him Sermanos, the Lord of the Dead. The 2 gods made lots of other gods and creatures. Finally, they created elves in their own image. They asked all the other creatures and gods to bless the elves, and they all did. So that's why the elves were wonderful in every way and can even speak with all creatures. But Sermanos withheld his blessing, so the elves' hearts were unaware of darkness. So they were childlike and innocent because they didn't get the blessing of darkness. So elves aren't really what you think of as elves. Elves are just a perfect being that is blessed by the gods, which I think is really cool. So the gods let the elves
are how like Tolkien elves want you to think of them.
Yeah, except they actually are.
Yes.
So the gods let the elves rule the earth, and they themselves ruled Erkatrai, the city of dawn, connected with the heavenly path. Eventually, the elves thought they were just as good as the gods, so they built a sky fortress, Fort Oaf. to try and enter heaven. Sol was mad and took away all the elves' blessings, so they became the slowest, weakest, and ugliest of all creatures, and were called human. One group of elves said, "But Sol, we're not like those other elves. We didn't want to overthrow you. The whole time the other guys were building Oof, we were just praying to your glory in the temple." But the gods said, "Weren't you just praying that your own lives would be spared?" So he calls them out, and he says that y'all are even worse than the others because y'all are goddamn narcs. So y'all are going to be cursed even lower than the humans, and they became beasts. So now the humans are all shitty and start being selfish and doing wars and such. Sol was sad about this, so he took all the goodness that he'd taken away from the elves, and he made grunties to bring peace. Okay, this part coming up fucking rules. Turns out the grunties are like the most important race in the whole goddamn lore. The other gods were worried,
which
that
is
grunties
hilarious
would
because they were just like for chocobo breeding in the first game.
Yeah. The other gods were worried that the grunties would end up just like humans. So Sol cast a curse upon the grunties. He said, "The key to this curse is a magic word. If someone, even just one person on this earth says the magic word, a terrible calamity will befall every one of you." The grunties say, "How do we ensure that this doesn't happen?" Sol says, "You must not oppress others. You must not be bitter. You must not be envious. Have a good and pure heart and live your days peacefully." So the secret word was told to all gods and all creatures except for humans, because they obviously can't be trusted with that kind of thing. They'd probably just say it for funsies. The grunties did their job, and they stopped the violence without any of their own. The gods blessed them with magical powers, and even then the grunties did not fall prey to the sin of pride. Everyone loved the grunties except for the humans, because the grunties were literally made out of all the goodness taken from the humans. They found out about the curse, but they couldn't figure out the magic word. So they held a huge feast for all the gods and creatures to try and get them drunk so they'd spill the tea. Eventually, the snake gave in and told them. They said the word, and the grunties lost their intelligence and became quadrupeds. The humans turned them into beasts of burden and used them to resume doing wars on each other. Also, because he spilled the goddamn beans, the snake was cursed to crawl on the ground. The gods were bummed out, and they sealed off the heavenly path with the gate of Morrigu Barrow. Because they withheld their protection and divine light, the earth became corrupted by a dark power called the Shadow, which caused monsters and demons to appear. Monsters totally eradicated, almost, the human society. They retreated into their 5 remaining great cities and barred themselves in. But one day, a young apprentice magician appeared. He prayed to the gods in the temple of Archekolon and gave up his life in order to call upon 6 great spirits and 2 goddesses. It's implied that these are some of the goddesses that already existed. It's just these are like the only 2 that listened, basically. They took pity on the humans, you could say. So he calls Vulcan the fire spirit, Meros the water spirit, Crake the wood spirit, Yarthkins the earth spirit, Lancior the lighting spirit, Wordneck the darkness spirit, Anu the star goddess, and Aurora the goddess of light. With their light, the shadow was once again contained. But once the danger was gone, the humans started fighting again. One by one, all the gods and spirits got angry or fed up with or bummed out by how foolish the humans are, so they all just bail one by one, until eventually Aurora is left. The humans figured she'd leave too, so instead of letting her do that, they place 8 curses on her and seal her away in the Holy Grand's Cathedral.
Jesus Christ.
Which I think owns. The gods are like, we took pity on you and tried to save you, but y'all suck so bad that we're just giving up and saying, never mind, fuck it. And the humans are like, fine, we're just going to capture you. That way you can't leave us, even though, because we suck so bad. So the gods find out that the humans literally captured a god and are understandably very pissed and vow to destroy mankind. So there's a big war, but the gods are, gods. They're winning pretty good and smiting with lightning many human cities. As a last resort, the humans took all of Aurora's power and made a giant fucking magic gun and shot heaven. Heaven is engulfed in flames. All the gods either flee or are burned to death or fall, also still burning, to earth and die. Also, the city of Leafail, which is where the gun was, got destroyed by the guns firing. So the Age of Gods is over. There's only one god left, the god of law, Fulset, who guards the gate of Morrigu Barrow. The humans wanted desperately to regain access to heaven, and it's light. First, they try to attack Falset to get him to give them access, but it doesn't work. Then they try to flatter him with gifts, but it doesn't work. Then they grovel and beg pathetically. They say, if a greater power than the shadow emerged, we would fall to ruin. If we could only regain wisdom and heavenly power, we would protect ourselves and we would not fight each other. Falset laughs and says, wasn't it y'all who killed the gods? Y'all gotta suffer for your sins. It is just that sinners receive judgment. However, all beings do have the right to atone for their sins. So, if you're very devout and through the power of your devotion and your belief, new gods arise and they are true gods, I will open the gate and pardon you. So then the humans start arguing and fighting about how to do this. Without gods, the world languished and faded. Humans, for a while, avoided the ruins of the cities that had been struck by the gods, fearing vengeful spirits. But one intrepid researcher did so and came back with the first beast. Beasts wanted to follow the true path to the gods' rebirth. Humans wanted to create technology and do it human style. So they start warring, but it's a stalemate. In order to, eventually, a third faction emerges. The faction of, I already forgot, it's higher up in my document. And that sort of caused a ceasefire.
It also was unpronounceable.
Yes. That basically causes a ceasefire. So now there's kind of a Cold War where all three groups are kind of trying to do the whole God's resurrection thing because they all want the world to be good, but they think there's different ways of doing it, and also they don't like each other, so they're fighting. And let's just say that no gods are being born. They're not succeeding in making gods born via their pure hearts and their devotion, mostly because they're too busy fighting over how to make the gods be born from their pure hearts and devotion. So that's where we're at. That's the lore of this game that we've been playing this entire time. And yeah, I think that it's a really, really fascinating little made-up sort of creation myth. It reminds me of creation myths from all over the real world, but it doesn't seem like it was just ripped off of one either. It feels like it's an original thing. I could buy this existing in the real world in some ways. The back and forth between the humans, the fact that the idea of the elves being made of all the blessings and the blessings are removed to create humans, and the humans, repeatedly we learned that the main thing defining the humans is their foolishness. They are foolish, foolish. The final thing I want to say is kind of a memorable moment, but it's sort of my own section, so whatever. The art in this section is amazing.
It's really good.
It's like a little bit Amano-ish. It's this wispy, colorful, whimsical style. It looks to me like it's like colored pencils. I'm not an artist knowledgeable person, but it looks like it's largely like colored pencils, sort of sketchy. But it's all these bright colors and very, very whimsical. The characters have lots of stripes and billowy sleeves and little tassels everywhere, which again is everyone's wearing patterned clothing, like everyone's shirt or pants or scarf is like a pattern. So it's all very Amano. It looks cool as shit. And I really enjoyed scrolling through all of this shit and learning about all this stuff that doesn't matter, because not only do we, the real world players, not give a shit about it, but the fictional in-game players of the game don't give a shit about it, which is very funny to me. But yeah, grunties are goody good boys, and that's it for me.
Yeah, that's you can tell that so CyberConnect 2, not to be confused with CyberConnect Corp in the game, CyberConnect 2 was going to do .hack again, but not in the .hack world when they were starting Project GU. And you can tell that they had a lot of that. Yeah, they had a lot of that, and they were just let's just make that the game that is inside of GU. And so it's which also then became a plot point inside of GU, as you can find on the forums. To skip forward to one of my things, is everyone's what's with Hol's Grons? And it's that's from the game that they were making when they pivoted to make it into an MMO, which was actually what happened with Project GU, because they're cute like that.
That rules. I love that. And cool. Yeah, so now those places that we've actually been to a lot, Morrigu, Borough, Hologrons Cathedral, specifically those two, and also words like Mak Anu and stuff like that actually have some kind of meaning that's rooted. The place Holograms Cathedral, if you recall, is the place where Triad kept showing up. That's like the resting place / prison of the only goddess that exists. Her holy light is coming out of it. I don't know if she died when they made the giant gun out of it or not. That's something I'm not aware of. And then the gate is literally the gate that connects heaven, and humans want to get through it, but they can't. And of course, when we get through it, turns out it's not heaven because this is a fake game. This is MMO. There's not heaven through there. There's actually nothing through there because the coders didn't need to code what was on the other side of there, which is very funny. So yeah, that's it.
And then there was something else. It was the Fulsit statue at the end of every area is a statue of Fulsit, the god.
Fulsit. I was like, I know I've heard that name somewhere. What was that from? Yeah, there you go. So, coolio. There's also quite a bit of lore about the devil god and his deal. There's like a time when he tried to come back into the real world, or he tried to come out of like the land of the dead, and there were like 7 giant tree roots and stuff, but I actually did skip that part because it was kind of boring. So
so let's listen to the Online Jack theme song, and then we will talk about the news section.
The heckin' news.
I'm not actually going to talk about Online Jack because we already covered all of it. So
true, but
that's not on my notes.
I knew it was a news-related song, so
yes,
it works.
So there are a few sections to the news, and I just went through and read every word of it all. So we'll start with the archives. So the first story is about how over 50% of parents support putting microchips in their kids.
Yes.
Many teenagers want one to be cool. But over 80% of children who have had a chip implanted regret it. Horizon Inc. is developing a bracelet called a guard bangle that has the microchip in it, but that can easily be stolen and removed. And if you're going to microchip someone, doing it with a bracelet doesn't really make sense. So I know these are definitely not American evangelical parents, because that's the mark of the beast.
Yeah, it is.
Obviously. So the next story is about how 4 employees at CC Corp suffered electric shocks while working on a server. They were hospitalized and are in critical condition. 2 years ago, there was that huge fire we've probably heard about at the CC Corp headquarters that completely destroyed it and killed several people. And actually, 7 years ago, there was another case in which employees at CC Corp monitoring a server were rendered unconscious. After that incident...
Every time that the news talks about 7 years ago, that's the plot of the first game. That,
right.
This is seven years after. So that comes up a lot in the forums part where they're like, isn't that what happened 7 years ago? And that they're referencing IMOC at that point.
Right. After the incident 7 years ago, they set up the Tri-Surveillance Network system to protect the company from further accidents. It has 3 different AIs monitor the company network, and they don't seem to be helping.
Whoops.
There's also a piece explaining what PKs are, but we know that already. And there's a piece about new GPS systems, which are in wide use, which connect cars to the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, and Transportation. They have advanced speech and behavior pattern recognition and also an auto-driving feature for highways. So they're very convenient, but probably also sinister. That's going to be a theme.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is just so very troubling.
Yeah, the theme of the news section is 7 years ago, a computer game took over the world. So in response, we put everything online because what could go wrong?
And we said, it's probably fine.
Yes. So on to the arts. In keeping with how good tech is apparently now, Crimson VS, a popular online card game by CC Corp, has been down for 6 months. Fans aren't happy about this. The game has been down for 6 months, folks. That's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long fucking time.
Next story. A few years ago, shares in the world were at an all-time low because of new games coming out. And then the world was shut down after the big fire at CC Corp. CC Corp announced the world R2 and was met with skepticism, but it has reached the 12 million player mark.
Y'all, imagine if WoW was shut down for 6 months.
Well, I mean, it'd be more accurate to say what if Hearthstone was shut down for 6 months, which there's probably more people playing Hearthstone than playing WoW.
Hearthstone's the cash cow.
Honestly, if Hearthstone was shut down for 6 months, we'd, have a communist revolution. People would care so much more about that than all the actually important things.
So, yeah, the 12 million player mark. I tried to look up, I tried to get context for that, for how many players actual games have. It looks like, having 2 million active players is extremely high, probably.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
So 12 million is a lot.
Yeah, especially for a game
Final
that
Fantasy
blows.
14 actually has... Yeah. Final Fantasy 14 actually technically has 18 million players, but that's just registered users, and the game has a free-to-play part, so yeah.
Gotcha.
Although, while I was looking into that, I was trying to find out, just for reference of this time period, try to figure out how many players EverQuest ever had, and it looks like probably its peak active player count was probably around 500,000 maybe, but the more interesting thing is that EverQuest is still active, y'all.
Yeah, and it's still getting expansions.
You might say that EverQuest has a lot of users.
Yes.
Yeah, it's because Final Fantasy 11 is still active, but they only had the 3 expansions from the PS2 era or whatever, and so you just can grind dailies forever for Final Fantasy 11, but EverQuest gets an expansion every year.
Yeah, which is definitely funny. They made EverQuest 2, but they're just doesn't matter.
Yeah. So the next story is about how introverts are now going outside. And this is just a really freaky thing. But now introverts can wear these headsets and play their games outside. So now they're going outside, and up is down, left is right.
One thing I think is
frankly,
really...
I think introverts should stay inside because I don't think they should be allowed in polite society.
One thing I think is great is this is worded look how crazy the future is, because you can play they have these mobile VR games or whatever, but it's kind of written as in holy crap, isn't the Game Boy the coolest thing in the world because you can play video games outside?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's just a hyper advanced Game Boy.
So the next piece is about a new type of head-mounted display from CC Corp, which it looks like the players from the previous article are using. It's called the M2D, or Micro Monocle Display. For just $420, nice, you get a 1280 by 1024 full-color projection display and high-quality audio. It has a monocle mode where the screen is displayed using only one lens, and double lens mode for a fully immersive virtual world.
Oh my gosh, I just realized the displays are projection displays because they didn't have HD TVs in 2008, and they didn't know plasma or anything like that. So they're just our nice TVs are projection TVs, so we'll say that they're little projection TVs on your eyes.
Tiny little, yeah, that's really funny.
That's great. Yeah, if you compare the specs to this futuristic VR, it's about a Samsung Gear. It's not very good at all. It's great. Love it.
Mm-hmm. The next article is about how Salvador Ihara's email address and phone number were exposed after he gave them to a woman in the world. The woman insists she never leaked his number, so the Network Administrative Bureau plans to investigate their whisper conversation to see if it was hacked. So apparently you can whisper in the world, but no one does so.
Yeah.
Everyone just talks.
/ yell.
Yes. Next article is a fluff piece about how two players met in the world, fell in love, and got married in game. Then they decided to meet in person, and it turns out they were mother and son.
I fucking love that piece.
Fun.
It's so fucking bonkers. I love it.
The next piece is about how weird dots are appearing in the world and seem to be affecting players. CC Corp is like, don't worry about it. The next piece is about how Golden Apple has acquired the rights to make a movie based on the world. There have been numerous attempts at adapting the world, but they've all fallen through. I think the interesting part here is the names of Golden Apple's other films, which include Ape of Ape, 12 James, and Converse with Sucker.
What the? Okay.
So I think one of those is a reference to Dinner for Schmucks. It seems like, but there's the rest are just dumb, and I love it.
I don't know what Ape of Ape would be a reference to, but now we're on to tech. A private high school will begin offering virtual academic courses to all students.
Wow, I can't imagine that.
No. Students attend a virtual classroom through M2D displays, which are those headsets, and it gives a completely virtual environment. And it's supposed to give you actual memories of school life, which they can just go to school. There's not there's not the coronavirus for them to worry about.
Did you guys see one of the Ivy Leagues, I can't remember which one, basically did Dia del Oso, whatever their version of that was, but in virtual reality. And it's the crappiest N64 graphics ass virtual reality thing.
Okay, I would have gotten way more into that than the real Dia, though, is the thing. That sounds awesome.
I definitely would. I'll have to find the link.
I have a day to catch up on my homework.
Yeah. But it's great. I'll have to find it. But it's the funniest looking thing in the world. So of course, because it was obviously thrown together in a weekend, everybody that logged onto it just put dicks everywhere, because that's what you do when things are on the internet, and it's great, and I love it. It's the most 2020 thing that's happened in 2020.
Nice. The next piece is about ubiquitous families, or households where all your shit is connected to the internet. So these households have surpassed 70% of the population, so everyone just has fucking blenders that connect to Wi-Fi and shit. The next piece is about the Advanced Supersonic Travel, or ASST jet, which has launched. Supersonic flight is back, baby! You can get from Tokyo to New York in 4 hours. A one-way ticket for that flight is $30,000.
Insane.
Youch. So yeah, supersonic travel is back, and I don't know why that's important, but it's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Why did Concords stop being a thing?
I actually didn't know it used to be a thing.
Oh yeah, a while back, when was it? In the 90s or early aughts, there were supersonic airplanes for passengers.
Wow.
They were really expensive, but they were called Concords, and you could get, I think they only flew from fucking New York to London or something. They were very limited, but
they were maybe they were just so extremely impractical that even the super rich people who could afford it were just not really wanting to bother it, so they just stopped having the market for it.
Yeah, I don't really know, but still, yeah. Apparently, it's back in the future. Oh my goodness!
I was going to joke that seems very realistic. Actually, that is something we would do in the real world. Is that the rich people would make just the stupidest thing ever and make it cost such a stupid amount of money just for them. But turns out it wasn't even the future. Wow, that's wild.
So the next piece is about how anti-allergen foods are now super common. They have all substances that could trigger allergic reactions removed, and, quote, many of them are even designed without using any actual food stuff at all, unquote. Some experts are like, that's bad. If our bodies never have to deal with allergens and germs and shit, we'll have stupid baby bodies that can't handle stuff when they need to.
Makes sense.
Yeah. The next piece is about how the United States has made a new perfect robot soldier called Talos. Awesome. Some concerns have been raised that its control systems could fail and lead to a destructive rampage. But the military is like, we were going to do a destructive rampage anyway. I mean, the security systems are state of the art and there's no danger of losing control. So definitely will be okay.
Mm-hmm.
The next piece is about how digging for methane hydrate reserves has begun. This new energy source will help change the world's energy balance, which until now has depended mainly on oil. So instead of clean, renewable energy sources, we're investing in methane.
Hell yeah.
Onto world news. Not the world news, world news. There is a, quote, worldwide epidemic, unquote, of people dying from playing online games for too long. They'll play for like 30 hours straight and then die from heart failure due to extreme exhaustion.
Nice.
Which is a thing that happens in the real world sometimes.
Not nice.
No.
Yeah, it is. No, it's bad. It sucks.
A world meeting on global warming is being held in, I think, in what I'm pretty sure is a made-up country. I had the name of the country. And I tried to Google it and didn't get anything, so pretty sure it's a fake country. The amount of CO2 released last year was down to 10% of what it was in 1990, but there's still much to do, and reading that was really depressing.
Yep.
Anyway, they might want to look into that methane thing and put a stop to that.
Yeah.
The next piece is about, does video games cause violence? The next piece after that is about how the new International Space Station is nearing completion. The previous one, which was called Evolution, focused on just doing research in a space environment. But this one will focus on construction of moon bases, exploration of Mars, and the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Not just extraterrestrial life, specifically extraterrestrial intelligence. So if they come across some amoeba or something, they're just gonna set it on fire and move on.
They'll be like, who gives a shit?
The next piece is that real money trading has become a common way for online game players to supplement their income or even run businesses. Next, the definitive global newspaper, the USA Times, is in danger. Its 1 million subscribers in 2000 have dropped to less than 10,000 subscribers. However, their website is still accessed in record numbers, so they're probably doing okay in that case. I don't know if they can monetize that. The new space station we mentioned earlier has been named Village by some kid who won a contest. On to the last section, Nation News. So there's a vague article about 3 students who staged an armed takeover of a school faculty room. They had rejected the real world and spent all their time in online games. And, quote, although discussion about the effects of online gaming on young boys has been going on for years, public opinion has been moving against games as more and more facts of this case come to light. These boys know of reality, yet do not seem to understand it. What will they see when they return to the real world, unquote. I like how this video game's taking a very anti-video game stance.
It really is.
Which, fair.
Yeah, no, video games are bad. We should never play them.
Next, CC Corp's giant new headquarters is complete. Their old one burned down, so they had to make a new one. There's even a CyberConnect museum on the first floor for visitors.
Nice.
After the fire 2 years ago caused the loss of users' data in the world, many are still upset about the data they lost. This has sparked discussions about the nature of online data as property and how to protect it.
Nice.
Next, here's the big one. The Online Administration Act has passed, meaning the government will now be online and citizens will be required to wear their identification number at all times. This is meant to make things convenient and provide access to a variety of services. Even though it passed, there is severe opposition to it, likening it to ear tags placed onto cows' ears. And also, just moving the entire government online, nothing bad will happen because of that.
Remember how a video game took over the entire world a couple years ago?
That was like 7 years ago.
It's
Things
fine.
are better
It's
now.
fine.
Next, parents are worried about kids playing online games and interacting with anonymous strangers. Valid. Next, there have been a string of court cases involving property in online games. Basically, people are taking their disputes over loot to actual court. Which I believe that some MMO players would do that,
I believe most MMO players would do
with
that.
MMO players.
Having arbitrated a ninja looting dispute for WoW, I 100%
while
believe
playing
it.
an online game and was taken to a hospital, where she recovered several hours later. The article notes that similar incidents have occurred in the world before. It doesn't explicitly say that this incident was an incident with the world, just that it was an online game and that similar cases have happened with the world. But it's probably the world because the world sucks. Last one. Because of the ubiquity of cell phone-based payment systems, the use of cash is becoming rarer and ATMs are just disappearing. Just like phone booths, you can't get ATMs anymore. However, this is one way in which daily life is becoming harder to manage for those who don't know how to use cell phones, furthering the digital divide. So that's a problem. So yeah, the world, so basically everything's online and everything is sinister and shitty.
Every single
Just
thing
like
about
real
this,
life.
every single thing about this is so troubling. Like there's just a full on, like they're just like headed like face first into just a full on dystopia. Like, and meanwhile we're just chilling, playing an online game, like doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Like, it's
playing a shitty online game. Not even playing Final Fantasy 14. We're playing the World R2.
Yeah, like geez, like in the here in the real world, we might be charging face first into a shitty dystopia, but at least we got really good video games. Like, did you see those graphics on Last of Us 2? Like Final Fantasy 7 remake, that was good shit. You know, Final Fantasy 14, that's some really good shit. Splatoon 2, like, man, like, imagine if everything was this bad. Imagine if we lived in the current world where everything was this shitty with coronavirus and all of the fascism and all that, but like also the world was the only video game. Again, we'd probably have a communist revolution by now because people wouldn't be mollified by really good video games. And all the movies have stupid names like Ape of Ape.
12 James.
Fuck 12 James. You hear what I did there? Okay.
No.
Sam gets it.
Oh, yes. I get it now. It took me a second.
Oh, it took me a long time, too.
I was like, James Hurley? Anyway, yeah, I'm done.
Cool. So, can you guys hear me, by the way?
I can hear you. Yes. It's great. It sounds smooth as hell.
Okay. Because earlier I was saying something and I think I wasn't connected at the time or something.
I think for a bit you may have been, yeah.
There was a long time where I didn't hear anything from you, so maybe.
Yeah, but I'm here now, so yeah. So let's listen to some other song, probably some shenanigans ass Gaspard sounding ass song, and we'll talk about my section, which is much smaller than the last two. So you were, I didn't take notes on this one because overall it wasn't important, but, and we also talked about it a little bit on the actual episode, but there's a forum post somewhere. I'm only talking about it now because I'm remembering it, where people are asking what game should they play. And it's the one where Syllabus joins in and is like, you should try out the world and come join my guild. And then you get a login and be like, fucking noob or whatever. And that one also has all the games that people are playing. And it's like Marsh in the Springtime and Riot Gun. Though, to be fair, I would probably play a game called Riot Gun, but most of them were equally just 12 James ass sounding online games, which I thought was great. Don't remember any of them, and if I turn on my PS4, it disconnects my my voice because I'm not near my PS4 and it would remote play. But so there are a lot of forums, and they're all really good fun to read. But the only one that's kind of important is the rumors board, because there's a rumors board, there's a news board, there's a Crimson Versus board, there's the World board, and then on the World's website they have their own official forum. And the news board is basically just a comment section for all of the articles that are there. And so like you'll have ones where a mom will be on there and be like, I microchipped my kid. Why is everybody mad at me for microchipping my kid? And then her kid will log on and be like, because now I can't like talk to any of my friends without you calling me and asking where I am. And I literally can't be my own person, you fucking psycho.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of cool stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just it's just reaction to the news section. One thing I think is cool is all of the anti-video game stuff that's in the news. All of the comments are just like, you're fucking dumb, Jack Thompson, and like fight back against it there. Except for the thing about Doll syndrome, everybody in the comments is like, Doll syndrome probably isn't real. It's probably fan death or something. Like people are just falling asleep while playing video games for a long time. It's not real. Yada yada yada. It's funny seeing like the things that are a little too crazy to be true, but we know they're true because we're playing the plot of the real game. They're like, no. But then like on the rumors board, people will be like, Sasquatch is fucking real and I can fucking prove it. And it's really cute. But yeah, so that's the news board. The Crimson Versus board is basically people just bitching that Crimson Versus is down and has been down for a long time. And then it's announced that it's coming back soon and people are exciting. One thing that's cool is on the AppCalu board, which is the Artist Alley board. One of the artists that posts all the time is Miyako 1/2. He's the one that named the space station Village, which I think is pretty cool. So like you already know him of reading in the forums, and then when that news thing drops, you see like, oh wait, he said that in the forum when they were joking about it, and then he adds a response to it. It's like, hey, they fucking picked it. I guess I'm famous, which is kind of cool. But the AppCalu board in particular has a whole lot of cute art, some really, really bad art, and a whole bunch of weirdly this quotes are my quotes. I just can't do air quotes on the fucking podcast, but like Image Comics in the 90s art, like super big buff, like crazy detailed Image Comics ass art, and it's fucking weird. But most people on this board love Chim Chims, and they're like trying to make Chim Chims happen, trying to make it not the weirdest fucking part of this entire goddamn game.
Yeah,
and they're talking about it like it's normal.
Okay, I guess I'll kick these guys now. Sure.
Yeah, it's fucking dumb, and everyone here is like in love with them. There's also so all of these pictures, you can go and download them and use them as desktop backgrounds, but you, the human playing on your PlayStation 2 video game console, don't want random fan art of other people's characters, so they keep finding ways to make people make fan art of characters that you actually know. And so it's convenient that Haseo was a really famous PKK. So there's a whole bunch of Haseo art, and people are like super in love with him constantly. And a lot of the art is really cool. There's one particular post that I brought out because it's bizarre and I love it. I love fucking weird shit like this. But the picture is one of those weird image comics ones, and it's like eyes are glowing. It's one of the first one you can download. So if you fucked around on the forums, you probably saw the picture. But the post is titled "No Subject," and then it's in all caps, and it goes, "Hello, my name Masaru from Kyoto. I'm student. Right now, I study English, so I log into US server. I enjoy make many American friends. I am grateful for your bulletin board. Thank you for having me." And it's just cute and sweet, but like super creepy art. And so the two put together, it's kind of like sinister looking, and I like that. There's also one weird post that I really liked, and it's not important at all, but it's fucking weird. But this guy posts a picture of his character and this beast character, and he's like, "Hey, that's a girl player character, guys. Don't forget." And he's like, I got my girlfriend to play, but she thinks that the beasts are cute, so she's always playing as beast, which is kind of weird. And then another poster is like, "Yeah, but at least your wife doesn't only play male characters, so that's weird." And everybody's like, "Yeah, true. So basically, it's better to be a furry than to be gay," is what they say on this fucking thing. And it was great. It was fucking odd. It's such a weird line in the sand to draw. It's like, no, it's fine. You can fuck a dog, but don't fuck a dude.
It's best to be both.
The final.
I found that I found that there's a substantial overlap between the two.
But there's the final comment in that threads is one guy that says, "Just be glad you have a girlfriend. Be glad with what you have." Frowny face.
Mood.
There's also in AppCalu, there's a post where Sakura of Sakubo fame posts her shitty watercolor fan art of Indrance, and it's amazing. Like it actually reminds me a lot of shitty watercolor, the Redditor, his art style. Like it's real bad. It's real good. You should go and find that one. But there's also a dude that's a huge fan of Haseo, whose name is Machi, and he draws in like a graffiti sort of style, and he gets drafted to draw cards for Crimson Verses. And he's like, he feels it's a scam the whole time. He's like, "Hey guys, I just got an email that says, would you like to draw cards for Crimson Verses? And I don't know, it seems fake." And then like CC Corp is like, "No, it's real. Please respond to our email. We like you." And that's cool.
Aw.
But let's see. The World Forum is actually, I found, even more like tutorially than the one on the official forums, but like it does have some things. Like that's where the World Forum is almost always where we would go and post when we had to go and like looking for group and those sorts of things. So it has a couple of stuff like that, but not a lot of like interesting stuff at all. It's just more, hey, where do I go to find an Ohm shell or whatever? And it's pretty skippable.
Good
but the
old
rumors
Ohm
board,
shell.
the rumors board, I was saving the best for last, is kind of really cool. So scrolling down all the way to the bottom to read it in chronological order, the board starts with some urban legends that people are saying to like define what they're going to be doing on this board. And they like just list off a bunch of them at the beginning, one of which they say the cat in the microwave oven. And everyone's like, yeah, that's a good one. And they don't explain what it is. I have no idea any urban legend that is about a cat in a microwave oven, but
It doesn't
everybody
sound
else does.
good.
No, it doesn't sound good at all. But the main like poster on the rumors board is this guy named Encephalon, and almost every time he posts, he's like, oh, and he agrees that this will be good, like in quotes, and doesn't explain it. Does that thing that we talked about how much we hate.
Fucking animes.
But there's some world-related rumors about the Forest of Pain quest line that everyone who participated in the Forest of Pain was known to disappear. And one of the posters there says that he looked those players up and they were all in comas in real life. So that's probably related to the plot. There's this guy posts asking if anybody has ever heard of a guild named Tan with the N capitalized. And they were information and item traders, but all of them were found out to just be hackers. So the guild was disbanded. One of the posters named 00 Parts, it's 00 Parts, says that he might have some information, but to whisper Encephalon or Nuada, who are, because they know more. And so it's kind of implied that 00 Parts, Encephalon, and Nuada are all part of this guild named Tan, who know shit. Then there's a rumor about Black Point, which describes the Ada black dots. And if you go near them, you hear a girl saying, hey, do you want to play a hide and seek with me? And if you say yes, you'll be taken to an alternate dimension. And if you say no, you'll get in a traffic accident. And the way to survive is to say your mom is here to pick you up, and then she won't take you to the other dimension. So everyone chimes in and says, oh, that's super dumb. There's no way that's real. But Encephalon pops in and is like, there's a whole lot of rumors about black dots lately. The other common rumor motif is a girl wearing all white and tri-edge. So Ida dots, tri-edge, and a girl in white. Don't know if that's Shino. Don't know if that's Adelie. Don't know what's going on there. But the other two, we definitely have focused the plot on black dots and tri-edge so far. And someone pipes in that Crimson Versus had black dots appearing all over the screen right when it shut down, which everyone thought was a virus infecting it. CC Corp, of course, said, oh, it's a graphical glitch. We're going to take it down and try and fix it. So Ida had infected Crimson Versus somehow back before it shut down. And then lastly, there are a few rumors of Tri-Edge showing up in the real world, as well as Doppelganger, which is the optional in-game boss that none of us did. But you can go and summon Doppelganger. Yeah. I don't know if he's in this game or like you get him in the third game if you do everything in 1 and 2 or whatever. But he is a optional in-game boss. I'm sure we could ask Francesco because he just did a 100% playthrough. But I know Doppelganger is the hidden shit. But yeah, that's basically it. The only other thing that's important at all is that the news section, while it's just reactions to the news that Bernard said, that's where Ohm Rice and Cocky Leader post, and they're my OTP, because Ohm Rice will just pop in and just be like, oh, hey, this is what I think. And then Cocky Leader will be like, that's a good point, Butt Rice. And Ohm will be like, it's Ohm Rice, OHM Rice. It's the symbol for Ohm. It's not Butt Rice. And he's like, well, every time I see you, I'm going to say Butt Rice. And it's like 600 of those on every single post in the news section. And they're my OTP, and I love them. But yeah, that's about it. I'm sure I missed something because I was skimming the last couple of bits because Storm was going crazy. Oh, I forgot. There is one in the news thread that's not related to a news article, and I did write about it. It's right here. So there's a thread where they're talking about how a lot of like jobs are being automated, and there's a lot of automated like machine learning AI sort of stuff, and they're like, these robots are boring, where are my goddamn Gundams? And everyone just goes off talking about how impractical it would be to own a Gundam, and there's this one weeb that's just constantly like, yeah, but it would be fucking sweet if we all had Gundams. So that kind of trumps your whole it's improbable to walk around in a big ass robot. And I liked that a whole lot. But
wow, cool
yeah,
robot.
that's the ancillary content for this game. did you guys have any final like memorable moments style things, or did you all drop them into your sections like I did?
Absolutely none.
I weaved them in. Yeah. I just really like how I really like all the real world stuff and how upsetting it is. Also, I read a lot of that when I started the game, but then I fell off of it because I didn't have time. And I remember at the beginning being like, "Ooh, it's gonna be great once this stuff all starts like mattering." I've got a hunch that it's not gonna matter. But you know, I mean, when you see stuff like, hey, the whole government's being moved online, I'm like, okay, that's like a Chekhov gun, right? Like that's going to be the plot of the game. But I'm pretty sure it's just not. I'm pretty sure that's just going to be like, yeah, by the way, this is happening.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
My thought is that the all of this ancillary content will kind of develop on the sideline throughout the main. So like the main plot will just be Hiseo goes and fights and wins RPGs, and that there will be some weird trippy stuff there, but like maybe the rumors board I went over will matter to the actual game. Everything else I feel will be just developed on the side, which is kind of cool when you think of that's how the world tells its story, is it's on its website and it's stuff in the background, but there aren't like cutscenes or real quests. Like all the quests you do are all just stupid fetch quests and not like having to do with the lore at all. And so I think it's kind of cool if like that probably is a Chekhov's gun and they're going to talk about it in the news section in game 3, but not in the game itself.
Yeah. What I mean is it's not going to be like, oh, Ida is a terrorist conspiracy to take over the government or something like that. It's like, oh no, that's not it.
Yeah. Though the online Jack things specifically are talking about like our specific avatars and stuff. So maybe it will all come back in because that one seems very tied into what we're doing. But who knows?
I think the online Jack stuff is going to be the only thing that's going to be directly connected to what's going on.
But yeah, that finally puts a wrap on game 1 of .hack. We probably will take a couple weeks off because I don't feel like starting this before I go to Madison.
Yeah,
so it seems like a lot to keep track of. So we'll probably have the first episode of .hack GU Volume 2 sometime in August. So look forward to that. Until then, please check us out on the web at www.rpgbook.club or on our Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/rpgbookclub. And you can throw us some bones to help fund the last part of .hack GU. For RPG Book Club LongCast, I have been Sam Allman.
I am so hungry. Also, I'm Maddie Grace.
I am David Bernard Hauk.
Bye.
Is there no Bernard?
You can't hear me for some reason. Maddie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear Bernard.
I can hear
Sam
you
was
now.
just talking over me earlier, and apparently you can't hear me.
Whoops.
I can hear you now,
Sam,
but I could not hear you at all earlier. Yeah, I can hear Bernard now, but now it doesn't look like I'm green.
Well, the podcast
Jesus goddamn
is over,
Christ.
So. Hello. Yeah, it was funny. I could hear Bernard just fine, but it seemed like you weren't able to. Very strange.
Yeah, I could hear him at the end when he was complaining about not being able to hear me, but not earlier. Not
weird.
Earlier when it was probably important.
Well,
so
anyway,
I apologize if I talked over you.
No problem.
Yeah, it was blatant enough where I was like, "Oh, I don't think Sam can hear Bernard."
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
Yeah, so I got lazy because that's what I did, and so I didn't get my laptop because my laptop's been like a real bad lag, which if you notice tonight, the lag hasn't been that bad, but it's had weird ass connection issues because I can't fucking win. But as soon as I get to Madison, I will have gigabit fiber and everything will be great. And I won't have to worry about a goddamn thing ever again. But that's not today.